as filmmakers, as writers, we had no interest whatsoever in putting our junk, our baggage into these movies. We just thought we should take what Tolkien cared about clearly, we should take those and we should put them into the film. This should ultimately be Tolkien's film, it shouldn't be ours.
Tolkien approached this thing as if he was writing history. He had genealogies that went back not only hundreds, but thousands of years, the rise and fall of kingdoms, entire stories in a footnote that grounded this in reality so much.
There's legislation in various states to ban biological boys or trans from playing girl sports in school. What's your opinion on that?
Question of fairness. That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girl sports in school. It just isn't fair.
Well, San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin will be forced into a recall election next June. We were the first to break the news that on our social media platforms today that the city's Department of Elections certified a petition to recall Boudin. And we showed you exclusively last month with Boudin critics submitted more than 83,000 signatures, which is about 32,000 more than needed to put the recall on the ballot.
San Francisco has been in the midst of a major recall around election for 3 members of the school board. And on Tuesday, San Francisco voters overwhelmingly supported the ouster of 3 of these members. It's the first recall election in nearly 40 years.
The people who pressed on with that American creed, yes, we can.
Yes, together we will make America better.
Welcome to today's episode of Unintelligent Intellectuals. But anyway, yeah, there's this spray called Liquid Ass, and there's
I've heard of that.
There was a review that I was checking out, and they were like, it says something about oh yeah, I like this guy was talking about it, and like the effect that it had on his wife. He's like, she kept telling him to take out the trash, and then he's like, oh, he rolled up the bag, and then he set it out in the living room, like next to the door, and then he sprayed some liquid ass, and then like he left, and then he said that she started, like when she came into the room, like, oh, this trash, da, da, da. And then she smelled it, she's like, what the fuck? He started throwing up violently. And then he started like laughing hysterically. He said he came into the room to explain, like, oh, it's just this, it's nothing. And then he started throwing up. And then they had to clean everything up, and they just threw the bag out in the backyard. And then he said, I don't know if this is related, but the next day there was a dead squirrel.
Oh my god.
I was like, oh shit. And someone got a little a thing of the liquid ass spray, and yo, it's pungent. Like, we just sprayed it out in the parking lot, the garage at night. Oh my god, it was so bad. Like, it's like gag reflex, immediate.
That's disgusting. So you're not good at sucking cock.
Yeah, no, man. I gotta practice more. I have a whole new level of respect.
Hey, you can use it on. You can use zucchinis. Oh no.
Oh no. Well, where's the mask when you need it? Oh, first up, there's so much stuff to go over. Of course, to start with the most important. LOTR, Lord of the Rings. You know, it's about time that they presented Lord of the Rings with the level of in the true spirit of Tolkien. I mean, like, it's been so long, and I'm just they've had it all wrong this whole time. You know, like, they're trying to model it after the books, and they've had these fan clubs and people who speak the Elvish language and all that shit. Like, all that shit's cute, but you didn't really capture the essence of Tolkien. Like you in the Silmarillion, where they explain everything.
You didn't catch the essence of an elderly white man.
Growing up. Especially back then. Like, thank God.
His depiction of middle-aged England.
Yeah, thank God. All these old lords. That's like, oh man, yeah. Like, he's always, I mean, I can't believe there's ever been the level of diversity that there is now. You know, thank the Lord. You know, Thank the Lord of the Rings.
I hate people.
Finally, there's the accurate depiction of elves.
Lord of the Rings. This is annoying. So Lord of the Rings is white people shit.
It is. It's pretty fucking white. It's pretty.
The whole knights and the armor and the
I mean, the lore in the areas like.
Well, no, not even that. I'm just saying like that whole like.
Oh, the time period.
Is,
yeah.
No, not time period. Like just that type of vibe. Like
King
Arthur and the Knights of the Round. That's white people shit. Like,
yeah.
It's not black people. It's not Asians. It's like,
yeah.
It'd be like, I mean, they did do The Last Samurai, but like you wouldn't, you wouldn't have like, the Japanese doing a thing about the samurais and then like have like half of them be Indian.
Yeah.
Because that's Asian people shit. It's Japanese, like it's.
Yeah, but no. If you really want to capture the essence of Nobunaga, you would have it.
Feudal Japan.
Yeah.
You need to have Nigerians.
Of course, I mean, duh.
They were scamming the emperor.
My father is stuck at sea.
Are you the prince? I need to give you some money. If you can give me your bank account, we can make this work. Please, sorry.
Yeah, it's wild shit. It's wild.
Can I have money,
You know what I'm talking about. I will pay you back double.
Double in 1 year time.
All I need
is your routing number. That was almost Japanese.
Yo, shit. Maybe Nigerian should be in there. Yo, we're confusing ourselves. I love it. Oh, this is so good. This is the. You know, I was looking at that. It was weird because it's like they're pandering to the. I thought it was weird that they're right now they're pandering. I don't talk to you about like I feel like they're pandering to what's popular now. Like it's just kind of weird.
What do you mean?
They're jumping on this whole like let's include like some more diversity in here, and it's like how they're kind of doing that to Lord of the Rings is kind of weird, especially since like even though it's like in Middle Earth like kind of symbolic of like the Middle Ages, and they're pulling off the lore from all these countries that predominantly in.
Well, it's Germanic and Celtic culture.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, pretty white. It's pretty,
a lot of redheads.
yeah. But it's like they still had like the way that he showcased diversity was through all these different races and all the different not like the way that we look at race or the way that
Well, we already been through it because we already talked about this because there's like actual places that would have non-white people.
Yeah.
And they just chose to not go that route and just replace the white people with random spatterings of black people.
Oh, yeah. That was weird.
And I started thinking about it. That'd be like, instead of doing Black Panther, you just had like Doctor Strange be black.
Holy shit.
Like you have black like characters.
Yeah.
And instead of like, like we could do a movie about Black Panther, it'd be like, we need diversity. Well, we could do Black Panther. It's like, or we could make Doctor Strange black.
Yeah.
It's like, but you got the character.
Yeah, it's like, no.
You got a whole character and storyline that you can do something with.
Which is what really bothers me about like especially with, like everyone's so happy there's a black elf now. It's like, oh yeah, like this fits.
Well, no one's happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, except for
the people that are happy weren't fans.
Well, they're super fans. So
somebody actually went through and like all of their Instagram pages and like between the I think even the person that was doing the interview, so like there was like 4 of them. Mm-hmm. They had like 5 posts that were related to Lord of the Rings in their whole timeline. They're like, doesn't seem big like fans. Much of super fans.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's intense.
Oh, and they also we haven't talked about this. So some guy, because it's being released in different countries because Amazon has like Amazon UK and Amazon India and everything like. So some guy went through, and it was all orchestrated and planned. Because like the viewing where they're like sitting in the theater and you're seeing people like cheer.
Yeah.
It's set up in the exact same way with every country, but it's just different people that are then representative of that country. Like the camera angle, the of what people are doing at the certain times is exactly the same. So it was all actors.
So cheap, yo. It's such a that's
or it was like
bro.
set up like, oh hey, you're doing this now, and we're gonna film it. Because there's like a thing where like everybody's intently looking at like the screen, and then there's another where they got their phones out, and the guy's like, "Why? How could they synchronize that like all these different countries?" But then, and it's a trailer. What are you recording?
I don't get it, man. Oh, yeah, and like it's kind of like what you were saying with the Doctor Strange and Black Panther thing. Like, there's so many stories.
You could have gone a route where you actually had a legitimate character.
100%.
Like, it was original. Instead, you're just like, oh, well, elves are white. Let's just make one black.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, let's throw out this one fucking token. It used to be a joke back in the day.
They're probably the ones who were like, oh, dark elves. Oh, that means they're black.
Oh, fuck. I hope they do not do that.
I don't think they would do that.
Oh my god.
That would be hysterical.
That would be so bad. Oh my god. Oh my god. That would be the worst interpretation ever.
Could you imagine, like, the kid's like, oh, who are you? Oh, my name's, Sisasan. I'm a dark elf.
Yeah. What up, homie? Oh, man.
I'm adopted and I never knew my dad.
Oh my god. Yeah, I grew up in a rough neighborhood. Yeah, it's dark elves. Y'all don't know what it's like.
I grew up in a rough cave.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, it's gonna be bad, man. Well, like there's they could have done a movie like if they really want to pander to African Americans or the black community or Africans in general, they could do like a story about especially with archers. Like the Kemet is a ancient kingdom like that, or like people refer to as Nubia, that was near Egypt, and there was a lot. They were known for their archers, and they were very, very dark skinned. Like it's like in present day Somalia, Ethiopia kind of region. We could do like even Roman Empire used them as mercenaries. Egyptians used them as mercenaries. Like they were known for their archery. Yeah. So like if you want to like showcase black archers, like. The history has it right there.
It's just like a bow and arrow. There's orcs that had crossbows.
Well, yeah, I think that's the thing. They were just like, you're trying to depict black people as like, no, they just had dark black skin. That doesn't mean that.
That's what an orc is. It's an animal.
Yeah, it's just like I think it's a corrupted elf, but.
Well, yeah, but you have to like brew it.
Yeah.
You have to like create it.
It's just like. Oh my God! Look at what they're doing to black people. It's like no one's seeing. It's like trying to call Scar from The Lion King gay. It's like no, he just wanted the power of the king. Like maybe I don't know. Like
maybe he's gay.
It's just like you're pulling teeth now. Like don't do that. Don't do that. No, Chris. Yeah, it's just weird, man. I think it's more racist to make a black elf than it is to.
I think there were a couple of black guys that played orcs.
Okay.
And that maybe
made it so much. Yeah. Like, it's like it's a job. Like they're just doing this. They're not depicting black people in this negative way. They're just like they just happen to be black people who played orcs. It's not like they showcase that. Like look at me, I'm just a black guy. We're actually black. It's the face of evil. That would have been terrible. That would have been wild shit.
I'd have to go back and look at like the extras.
People are already mad. They're just looking for a reason to be mad.
Well, they weren't that mad.
I mean, people.
That was like a very quiet mutter.
Oh, okay.
About the orcs. At least back,
it's so weird.
Back in the day.
Yeah, that's true. You know, it's funny when I watch. I'm like a casual Lord of the Rings fan, but like when I watched it, I loved it. Like it was always something that I've always I've always loved anything medieval, magic, dragons. Like, I loved all that shit. So it's just like when
Well, remember when that girl was talking about like her disability?
Yeah, it's like
whatever that was, because she didn't look like she had one.
Yeah, I'm not.
But somebody was one person reviewing it. I guess she never heard of. I forget the guy's name, but he's the orc general in Return of the King, who's got like cerebral palsy.
Yeah. He came out. He's like,
he's got a gimp.
Yeah.
And he's got like a retracted short arm.
Yeah. That's the level of representation you wanted.
It's already in there.
Oh shit, man! I forgot what I was saying. Oh no, I was talking about my Lord of the Rings experience. Like I was watching it and I didn't notice it till someone pointed it out because like I was just enamored by everything because I've always loved that kind of anything that has to do with this kind of stuff and it was the first time I encountered I encountered dwarves because at that time I like King Arthur's Court, Robin Hood type of thing, Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. But and like anything magic.
Well, D&D had dwarves.
Stuff. Yeah, well, I wasn't familiar with that. I mean, talking about the movie, it was way before I even knew about that world. But yeah, special guest appearance. But yeah, but like I didn't notice. But I've always wanted to see like army because I've always follow like individual characters and like throughout this time period, and it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. But this was like the first time that I saw like big army on this side, big army on that side, and just like I was like, oh shit, this is what I wanted. And so like Lord of the Rings like fulfilled that little thing for me. I was just like, oh, this is cool. And then throw in like the first time I was introduced to dwarves, and then see magic on like a big scale and all the mystery behind the journey of the fellowship. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I didn't know, I was so enamored by everything that I was watching. I didn't notice it until someone said, it's like, huh, there's no black people in this. And I was like, oh yeah, there's not. Haha. And it was like a joke. It was like, oh yeah, haha, there's no black people here. I was like, yeah, nobody wanted to fight in that war. Like, it's like a horror movie. Like that's how I took it as. I never thought about. I never felt upset.
Nobody felt upset.
There was no.
That wasn't a thing 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's so weird, man.
I can't believe it's been 20 years.
Shit. Holy shit. Oh, wow.
It came out like in 99 or like 01. 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, nobody cared.
Yeah.
20 years ago, they wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
If it was a good movie, it was a good movie.
Yeah. So, it's weird. It's fake outrage, man. I thought the what you call it, the dwarf. Oh yeah, well finally they have a dwarf without a beard. Even though like Tolkien said that they have beards and you can mistake the men for the women, and Gimli talked about it too.
I think the lore is that they had beards.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it was a joke. Like in the Two Towers, Gimli was talking to that.
No, I mean like the actual lore, not even like Tolkien's lore.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with the.
I mean, there's lore for elves.
Yeah, and like he kind of
Tolkien didn't create them. Like
no, he brought it in, and then like he's like, all right, well, this is like all the stereotypes that we have of all these different kinds of characters, like based off of what Tolkien did, because what he did was so amazing when he pulled all these different things in, and then created the world that he did. But yeah, I just don't. I thought it was weird that they decided to go that way. Or they're trying to say that women can't have beards. It's pretty fucked up, bro. Yeah, women can have dicks, but they can't have beards, man. That's pretty.
I don't know. Maybe she's shaved.
I'm offended. And the fact that it's a black woman, it's like, oh, you made a black woman a dwarf. Oh yeah, and like dwarves are like known for like being like stuck in the mountain, like just like digging for gems and gold and stuff like that. It's like, oh okay, so you have a black female in there,
I think she's
and
gonna be sassy.
I think she's gonna be sassy. She's gonna be a gold digging bitch. hit all the stereotypes. The black elf is gonna go to a barber shop and like run into her. And
He doesn't even have hair.
I thought he had like
got
a
like a
buzz
shape
cut.
up. He's got like a shape up.
You know, because like back in those times, he's just really skilled with that.
Yeah, they would either have their hair grown out or it would just be shaved.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be
Shape
trimmed.
up, yeah. That's the wildest shit, man. We're going to celebrate blackness by depicting a black person and then instead of... and that's the other thing, I make, of course, I'm a little Rasta head, and make my kids grow their hair out. It's like, yeah, be proud of who you are. It's like, oh, we're going to depict a black person. It's like, let's shape his head, though. Even though it doesn't fit in the story whatsoever, or we can't really explain it away, it's like, there he is.
I don't know.
It's like a big-ass throwaway.
I'm depressed.
Yeah. I'm not. And I never thought about who that character was. The main character for in the trailer.
Galadriel?
Yeah. I didn't know. I thought they were just like, a female character. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
No, that's the Elven Queen.
Yeah, I was
has the ring of power from the elves.
Oh, yeah, the mage is. I was just like, oh, well.
The one who doesn't fight.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to be peaceful and avoiding conflict.
Or at least when she does, it's like with magic and it's like, oh, because I think she showed up in The Hobbit and then she was trying to help Gandalf, and then the Nazgul showed up, and then you had Saruman, the white mage, and the other elf came in, and they were fighting. And then she was using her magic, and she like blasted back Sauron. But it's like, so now it's kind of weird how they showcase her with with all these. Now, I'm not upset that she has a sword, but it's like they show her like they did, that female the knightly character in what's that show? The real big one, Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Like the big manly type of, and she's just like, oh well, like no, I'm just a knight. It's like, oh, like, yo, you're a woman. It's like, no, I'm a knight. And it's like, all right. It's like, she's that was a cool way to introduce that character as that. It's like, oh, she identifies as a knight, then she does this, and that's why she puts on that kind of portrayal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of a stretch to try to paint Galadriel in that same kind of light. Not that everybody's going to be aspired to that person from Game of Thrones, but why is she taking on all these masculine type of attributes and like carrying around a sword if she doesn't?
When she wasn't that at all.
Yeah, it's just... Tolkien had it wrong all this time, like about time. They fixed it. They fixed everything. It's all fixed. So
well, now it's what it was truly meant to be.
Yeah. Oh man.
I could just think of just Jordan Peterson. What's that? I can't do his accent. It's so odd.
Yeah, I know.
You have to slay the dragon. Like it's almost Scottish.
Yeah, it is. Like a.
Oh no, I don't believe that at all.
Vietnamese, so it's kind of like he's speaking the staccato-ish and this. Yeah.
No, Fargo. Remember the Chinese guy that lives in North Dakota in Fargo? Oh yeah, hi Pam. And he's like
so confused.
Full blown.
Yeah.
Full blown 100% Chinese.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pam.
Oh man.
What it is his like wife left him and he was trying to see if he could fuck her.
Yeah.
I've just been, he's just been real lonely.
Oh wow, man.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to go. I have to say hi to Cliff.
Yeah, it's been such a long time since I laughed. Went to a movie just like, yo, what the fuck is this? Oh man. I mean, now I go, what the fuck is this? But it's a different kind of what the fuck. It's so because like I don't know why they like but they've had strong female characters even Aragon's girl that I thought, I forgot her name, a terrible name, Arwen, something like that. But she was in. Yeah.
I think it was Eowyn.
Yeah, that sounds right. But she was she called on the river. She had like this fast horse. Like she was badass, but she was feminine. And like she fought, but she was.
Well, that's the thing. All the strong female characters were, well, except for Theoden's.
Daughter. Yeah.
But she wasn't really. I mean, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
complex. But yeah, the women they were strong in their traditional femininity.
Yeah.
Just like the men who were strong in their traditional masculinity.
Right. I guess that's what.
And that provides a good story.
Yeah.
And then when you start blurring the lines and changing things.
Tolkien had it wrong this whole time, man. Just, I don't know.
I don't think people understand what a hero epic is.
It's kind of weird, like the big brouhaha they're making over right now with the swimmer. The swimmer was like beating all those records. You know the
guy. Or no, sorry.
How dare you? You're saying that a girl can't have a dick? Yo, like, what's wrong with you?
Such a bigoted human being.
Yo, I don't understand what your problem is, man. It's just some cock and balls. I mean, if someone with a cock and balls can't be a girl, then what do we even call females? I mean, come on. Sure.
Oh, well, women is just a social construct.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're gonna grow up in an interesting world. Such a weird thing. I'm terrified, but it's like you said, since they're locked into they put so much money into it. It's like they're not at all concerned with trying to make a good.
No, they think they're making something good.
Yeah, I think it's just one. They're
not like purposely doing something stupid.
Yeah, I think they've gotten because they thought that they were going the right path because they're pandering to the people who feel this way about these things, and then when they got all the blowback from the fans.
That's what every one of these like fan type, not models, but like fan elements are coming from. They're expecting that. It was like Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
They're expecting that. Or they're naively expecting that, because it's Ghostbusters, everyone's going to watch it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, you replaced the men with women, and you made it, and you gave it shitty writing, and it's like PG, so you can market to as many people as possible, and now it just looks like a big pile of shit.
Yeah, it's just fucking lazy. It's just like, you're just trying to dick right off the name.
Like somebody actually broke down and played scene by scene
comparing the original to
the original to the new one, but explaining the scene where they explain whatever that what's the gun that they use?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not a huge enough Ghostbusters fan to know what the
I'm the one not supposed to cross the streams.
that is like a nuclear weapon essentially like
yeah.
Or like it could explode and be like
yeah.
So when Dan Aykroyd's explaining the whole thing, and he's like, well, God, what's the other guy? I always forget the guy with the glasses. His name.
Guy with the glasses? I don't know. I know Dan Aykroyd. There's Bill Murray.
Well, the guy with the glasses wrote and directed the Ghostbusters.
Oh wow! Okay. No, I don't know. But yeah, it's
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. One of those.
So him and Murray are like standing side by side, and then he's explaining it, and then as it becomes worse, they're both maintaining eye contact with like the back, and they're both like inching slowly to the back corner.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but I mean, who knows? It's just in practice or something like that. And he like looks back, and they're both like this. And it's like a subtle, kind of cute little funny scene.
Yeah.
And then they go to the scene with the women, and it's that chick from SNL, the blonde girl, and she's got like the goggles on her head, so it's like goofy.
Yeah.
And she's just saying a bunch of big words that don't really make any sense to make it seem like it's really scientific. And then everybody's just kind of like, somebody said, I don't know, the black chick I think says something black, and then
I like how the original Ghostbusters was a black character, but he was
a cool dude. He's like, hey, I saw this flyer.
Yeah, but then the black chick she's just like, oh, you need to fit the stereotypes. Like now, do it. Come on, Token.
And then they do a cut scene to being in an alleyway where McCarthy like uses it, and of course, she hits it, and then it propels her up, and then like flies her into the wall. And she's like, "Oh, that was pretty awesome!" And it's just like it's a haphazard put together scene when you compare it to the original, which is like, well, we haven't tested it out yet. It does have nuclear capabilities, so fingers crossed. And then as he's like loosely explaining it, they're like backing away, but they're in an elevator, so if anything were to happen, they're all dead anyway.
It's so like, I mean, I think it's movies in general, but it's just so it's unfortunate that it just and
they're using all their facials, so like it's an actual, they're like acting.
Yeah.
Not just being like those YouTubers that are like our age, but like market to like the 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh my god, I just got Legoland, and it's like
as outrageous as possible. It's like you're not a person. Don't do that.
But I mean, it works because they're gearing it towards
right. Yeah.
But if you're trying to do a Ghostbusters movie, I don't know, maybe market to somebody who's not 8 years old.
I mean, especially if you're like, oh, it's so popular. It's like, yeah, it's popular. Like, okay, you're gonna invite these fans over from this era. It's like, have a cute
but if your original, that's my point. If your original base doesn't go with you, then what do you expect? That's why it flopped.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's just lazy. And that's how this Lord of the Rings thing is. Like, doesn't matter how much money and cool explosions and effects you set up in it. It's gonna.
That's my point. Is they were expecting that the fans would be all on board with it. Yeah. So like, whatever we do with it, as long as it's we want to do this, so we're going to do it this way.
Right.
And then we're going to bring all these people over. But the problem is, in doing that segment, you're now going to lose like your entire core base.
Yeah. Because everyone's going to look at it for what it is,
It'd be like if Donald Trump started like rejecting his base.
Yeah. It's just like, oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, she's fine. She just wants attention. Just look at me. But it's like they did the same thing with Cowboy Bebop, where it's just like, oh well, everyone sees it for what it is. It's like, all right, so like the fans.
But if everybody who's a fan of it is just like,
like, oh, this is gross.
Sucks.
Like you know what this is, and you could have done it this way, or you could have done it better. And it's like, and they try to find all kind of excuses. Like, no, you could have just. This is the workaround. And then it's like, then the new fans that they're trying to pull in, they're just like, oh, well, like, this is like gross representation of feminism in terms of with the Ghostbusters. It's like, oh, like, you're not, like, you could have done a better job showcasing this. And,
it was just a shitty movie.
Yeah. It's everything that it set out to do, just like, and overall.
The problem is that it took comedies from, I mean, I don't know when it started to change, but like at least in like the 80s and 70s, a comedy was a legitimate fucking movie.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Like all the movies with like Richard Pryor, like there was like they were real fucking like movies.
Yeah, The Princess and I, even like Airplane, like as the outrageous joints.
Airplane was more of like. Yeah, but I mean, but still a movie.
Like, yeah, 100%, right.
Like, plot, a whole bunch of subplots, potential character arcs.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, a lot of comedies that were being made, at least we'll say in, like, the last 10 years, there's still, like, obviously, like, a storyline and, like, an arc to the character.
Yeah.
But the meat and potatoes in between is sometimes just, like, bullshit skit stuff.
Yeah. Like
Will Ferrell, like what is it? I forget what Will Ferrell movie is like that. You just can make the argument well, now Step Brothers is a pretty good movie.
My drum set.
I'm really stupid right now. I can't think. But there's some comedy movies that are just like essentially just broken down into skits.
Yeah.
Whereas like you couldn't do that in like 1976 or like 1982.
Yeah.
People would be like, "What the fuck is
just
this?"
randomly placed in just like this ADD moment that you have in the middle of the movie.
Yeah, so like Ghostbusters is a legitimate movie just with comedic
sprinkled in.
Comedic like lines, or like everyone else is playing straight and then Murray's just like, "Oh, well, if we all die, then I guess it's all right." And then like, Aykroyd gives like a disconcerting look, like, "Don't make jokes." But then you, as the audience, are like laughing because it's hysterical. Like, you're treating it as like a real movie, and they're like, "Oh wow, that's a funny line," because it's not. You're not viewing it like that. Whereas like they did Ghostbusters like it was some slap happy comedy.
Yeah. It's like 100%. Yeah, I think you pegged it right there, man. It's like it's not even like you're not even trying to put the effort into like you have a prompt to follow and you're just like, haha, fuck that. We're gonna take the bare bones of it and everything that made this great. We're not gonna follow that.
And I haven't seen the one that they did, the Aftermath.
No.
The one with Paul Rudd.
I have no idea. Yeah, I haven't watched.
No, it looks good.
Okay.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, I've been scarred. I'm just like,
We're gonna pause this. Okay, so you watched 40 seconds of the trailer, and you're already like, I'd watch that.
Yeah, because it's like a legit storyline. They put the effort in.
Because
like,
you already know they got the kid from Stranger Things, Paul Rudd. So you're like, okay, comedy's gonna be in there. There's gonna be some funny lines, but I'm gonna be watching a legitimate fucking movie.
Yeah. It's just that I love Paul Rudd, and I'm just like, oh, they've already tried to remake it. Like, I'm
and
just
they bring they bring Bill Murray and Aykroyd back.
Oh wow!
I think, or like they're in it to some extent. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's real cool, man. That looks.
So that's
I'll
what
definitely watch that.
Exactly. All they had to do with the female cast is do something resembling that of like a real movie.
Call back to the original, and then like have a solid thing to follow, as opposed to just like, this random thing here. We're females, vagina power. It's like, all right, like not against vaginas or nothing like that. It's just that.
Because if they did their own original thing, it would have been different.
Yeah.
Just like The Lord of the Rings probably wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
And The Rings of Power probably wouldn't be bad if it was original.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't about Tolkien and it wasn't, and it was just like its standalone project.
Right. Like I really liked Bright. Like I thought that was the one with Will Smith, and it's like set in modern day, and he's a cop and he's working with the orc, and the orc is looked at as like a. No one likes the orc, and even like amongst his own kind, they're just like, "Oh, you're like you're a backstabber, you're betraying your people." And it's like I thought that was a cool spin off of the modern day, or like taking the old folklore of the orcs, the elves, and then like incorporating humans in there, and like mashing that up with like real life or like present day, and then trying to spin it into a different kind of world and a different kind of story. It's like that was that looked it just looked incredible. I loved it. I loved everything about that movie, and there was a legit story, and it was and you like really felt for the characters, and like you could have done that movie like the fact that there were orcs and elves and stuff like that was cool, but it wasn't like necessary for that movie. It wasn't necessary to carry that movie to be interesting. Whereas like with the female Ghostbusters, like if you just like forget about the fact that it's Ghostbusters, like could you just watch this movie without the fact that it's Ghostbusters and be like, wow, I really enjoy it? And it's like no, there's at least no part that I really liked about it.
Well, then it wouldn't be a movie for adults.
But it's just like the story, like you were saying, like the story in and of itself, like there wasn't a real attempt made to really to make a masterpiece. It's like a chance to storytell or like poke fun at certain
that's
things,
just because women aren't funny.
Damn, bro. Like it's there's some comedians that
that's a joke.
Yeah. Like they're jokes. It's like no, but like but what I'm trying to say, like there's like the women that tried too hard to try to be like hypersexualized or like to be funny. It's like the inauthenticity is what's not funny. Like what makes it funny is like an authentic take on something that like you like well thought out, and at least for me. But
Well, no, that was a movie that would have been geared towards like 10-year-olds. If it was its own idea.
Yeah.
Like that's like that's the family movie. It's like I'm taking my 2 kids and their 3 friends and we're gonna go see this.
Oh yeah.
That and they're like 9.
Yeah.
That's what it would be.
Yeah.
Oh look,
fantastic.
she used the fucking ghost gun and now she's bouncing off a wall.
Yeah, man. But it's like even that's like, this is a fucking hate. Like I remember watching Cat in the Hat, and I don't remember what was in it, but they had like a lot of like clever little things that like for like jokes for like adults. It was like, oh shit, and, like kids would just look at it like, that's crazy, yeah. But like adults were like, oh no, that's a sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
It's like it's a family movie, but it's like
well, they do that to keep the parents entertained while they're watching it. So they're like, well, this isn't a complete waste of my time.
Yeah. It's like nice. Thank you for that. But it's like, yeah, I'm just tired about people making these lazy attempts.
Well, they spent so much money on it. It wasn't that lazy.
I know, but that's what's even more frustrating. Like they're just like,
well, that's why the backlash is just so bad.
Yeah.
Everybody was been waiting for this for so long, and then it came out, and everyone's like, well, this is
the fuck, man. Yeah.
This is a big steaming pile of crap.
And I think that's why they relied on the super fans, because I think they got all that pushback, and instead of like reevaluating, they're just like, nah, this is good. We're just gonna convince you that it's good. So they're gonna bring in people that are like, oh yeah, they're gonna talk good about it, and all the like lazy propaganda.
I really want to. I don't want to say this.
I'll clip this up.
Actually, yeah, that wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Man, but any semblance of understanding would be like, these are not who nerds like. Like,
yeah.
This is gonna piss them off even more.
Yeah.
We're nixing this, and we're gonna find some nerds who like are into this.
Yeah.
Objectively, and then we can bring them on and then talk about it. And if they hype it up good enough, we'll then put that out.
It's crazy because I think I saw a little.
Because like Lord of the Rings, like couldn't be anything more than not that.
Yeah, it's the just the amount of effort that went into it. Like the only thing that
Hey, who's a big Tolkien fan? Androgynous homosexuals from England.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's it.
Yeah. It's like
who like taking selfies.
Yeah.
They have extreme feminine behavior.
I think they had the right idea at first because they hired some people who were like big, like who were big fans, and I think I saw something about it when I read that the Tolkien estate is not for this. And I was like, oh, that's what made me look into it more. But they got rid of somebody because who was like who was like their subject matter expert,
the lore expert.
Yeah, the lore expert, and they're just
they fired them like 6 months into production or something.
Yeah, it's like instead of like, oh, this is what you think and da da da, it's like, oh. Like, you would think that someone like that would hold the most weight in terms of making something like this, because especially the amount of effort that went into...
well, when they were doing the first ones, everybody was having books on set.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson's reading them, and Christopher Lee played Saruman. He's constantly reading the Tolkien books, like walking around them.
Yeah. I remember... they interviewed Peter Jackson about, hey,
well, they wanted Christopher Lee to be Gandalf, and he's like, I'm not Gandalf.
Yeah.
Because he was such a Tolkien fan. He's like, I'm not Gandalf. I'm not playing him.
Yeah. It was so good, man.
And he's like, but I'll play Sauron.
It's like, I remember seeing this thing with Peter Jackson. It's like, and that's cool to see people like work on something that they're passionate about. Like, I saw this Snoop Dogg interview where he's like, if you go into something like looking for money, it's like, you're gonna be disappointed at some point, because like there's no amount that's worth more than your passion. He's like, I do rap because I'm passionate about it. He's like, I love rap more than I love money. and that's why I'm successful. And so it's like, granted, it's not for everybody. Not everybody who follows their passion is going to be successful, but it's a good.
But the product is going to be, at least decent.
Yeah, because like you're gonna put in,
or you just suck.
Yeah. What happens, man? I mean, sorry, Hitler, you're not a good painter.
Well, that's because he didn't fully commit.
Yeah.
If he maybe fully committed to painting, he would have been a better painter.
Oh shit. Oh man. But yeah, it's like at least like you would be at least if you don't accomplish your goals, you'd still be happy with what you've done. Like you'd just be like, oh shit, I can't put bread on the table.
That's what I'm referencing. It's like there was especially the older actors.
Yeah.
In the Lord of the Rings,
they really
and the director. They knew they knew what it was.
Yeah, it's good to see a group of people come together and give a shit that much and just be like,
whereas
gonna try to do it like what's his face, the director Jackson, he was like saying Peter Jackson, right? Yeah. He had an interview. He was talking about how they were trying to he tried not to inject his own personal ideas.
They said this is for Tolkien.
Yeah. He's trying to be as just true to what Tolkien would have wanted.
Yeah, he was like, I'm doing this movie for Tolkien.
Yeah.
So if he saw it, he'd be pleased with it.
Yes. So like that's something that's super cool too. That's something that it's super cool to see someone like stuff like that. So it's like I think that's what they were hoping to or at least they started off like with the right idea, but then as soon as the lore expert was like, oh, he's not on board, it's like, oh, instead of bringing someone else on, like, oh, let's consult another lore expert, let's go engage the community. There's fan clubs and shit like that. There's people who speak Elvish and like they're that committed to the whole thing. Like it's a legit language. Like he took like the time to like create this what was that?
I think it wasn't anything.
But they took
and it's gone, whatever it was.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Thought you were slick. But the amount of effort that went into making it is like incredible. Like it revolutionized storytelling. Like everybody since then has started doing stories like Tolkien. Like, all right, we're gonna like make the world bigger than it is, and so starting with like Once Upon a Time and like trying to engage everything from the beginning. And it's like, oh, we'll start from the middle of the story, create this big thing, and as it progresses, you understand the history a little bit more. You like engage the characters a little bit more.
There's a reason why like, it's like I think one of the biggest selling books of all time.
Yeah, I'm sure, man.
It's in like 50 different languages or something. It's absurd.
Yeah, and it's just like you don't want to even engage the Tolkien estate or the experts to figure out if you're staying true to the source material or.
Well, the first 2 episodes they don't have the rights to the source material.
Oh, okay, I remember.
So the first 2 episodes it's just nonsense.
Yeah, there's like, oh, we have this little. They said like, oh, we don't have the rights to this part, but they're trying to find like a little
loophole so that they can give
access
some backstory.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's very aggressive. I don't want your keys. But you are active. But yeah, man, it sucks. That sucks. And it's like I think they instead of being humble enough to be like to bow out like, oh shit, we might have fucked up. Let's retrade like
you can't redo it.
And they're just like, no, we've already committed this much money.
They've spent way too much money.
Yeah, they're just going all in now. I'll make the new Star Wars trilogy look like a fucking masterpiece. I gain a whole new appreciation for all these other. But that's fucked up.
If you didn't like The Last Skywalker, wait till you see Rings of Power.
But yeah. Besides Jesus, Lord of the Rings, Oh, that transphobic Transtarted person, you know.
Transtarted?
I just gonna start using different terms. It's like who just like you know.
Translucent.
Yeah, this transcendent opinion. This talking about transgenders in sports. Saying that transgenders shouldn't be involved in sports the way that they're being included now, and it's like what do this person who doesn't know anything about athletic competitions and everything that goes into it, and having all these wild opinions about trans people. It's like, oh, god damn it, Caitlyn Jenner, like, what are you talking about? You know, Caitlyn Jenner.
Kind of missed your sarcasm.
Shit, yeah, I fucked that up.
I thought you were talking about something legitimate.
Oh, I'm so sorry, bro. I gotta put on the face. Let me.
Did Caitlyn say something?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was about the swimmer, but Caitlyn was like, I think someone had asked her, or she had just voiced an opinion about whether or not transgender athletes should compete in the traditional sports and the dynamics that it is now, like men and women, and she's just like no, and it's like it was I guess she's using her white privilege to suppress the transgender athletes or something now.
I feel like this is a dangerous topic.
Yeah. Well, what did you see? A couple weeks ago, Adele was they have those British
yes, the genderless or gender neutral award.
Yeah. So they just lump everybody together, and Adele ended up winning. And she's saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm happy that I won, and I understand the reason for it, and appreciate it." But she was talked about why she was proud of being a woman, and it wasn't like as a knock towards everybody else, but she was just talking about her personal thing, and I thought that's what it was for, and I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, oh yeah, it's like
I don't understand this desire to placate to like 200 people. out of a population of tens of millions.
I think it's because they want to be seen as the good guys. Like, we care about everybody. So, like, of course, those fringe people, like who you were just
it's not even fringe
about the oppression. Like,
it's not even like fringe.
Oh yeah. I thought.
I mean, fringe is like people who put like mayonnaise on peanut butter or something like that. Like,
yum.
That sounds repulsive.
Yeah, mayonnaise on most things sounds repulsive.
But like people who put like coconuts up their asshole, that's like far fewer.
Yeah. No, that is true, man. It's just I think that they look for people who are the most oppressed, and like, those are the most legitimate ones to stand up for, and that's why we have to stand up for these people. But it's just so weird to take a. Yeah, but they're under the impression that they are.
I mean, maybe trans people. I would say trans people are oppressed, but I wouldn't say somebody that's like non-binary is necessarily.
Yeah.
To an extent where we need to change society as a whole and how we operate.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think they did non-binary to include everybody. Oh no, it's because what's his name? The guy.
Oh brother.
Sam Smith. Oh no, don't do it! Oh no, Zaina, don't do that.
We might have a problem. Still leaking. This is gonna be horrific.
Oh shit.
Holy shit.
Oh no! Yo, you're holding your breath. Gas mask on. But I'm so fucking terrified. This whole time, like, catfish.
I'm just sitting in it. We'll leave.
Oh man. But Sam Smith, I think his name.
He's non-binary.
Yeah. I think he was the one who was really pushing for it. And then, so they're like, all right, we'll do this. And then it's like, oh, someone won. And it was like, oh. And I thought that's what it was for. Like, it was like, man can win, women can win, non-binary people can win, transgenders can win, like male to female to male, whatever. Everybody just loop it all together. I was like, all right. Like, it's different than like a physical sport where it's like, oh, you're advantaged based off of your hormonal balances. Like how much testosterone you have dictates how much muscle building or like maintaining a certain level of muscle. So it's like, if you go, that's a little unfair. But if it comes to something artistic like singing or a performance, it's like, oh, like that's something that you could just lump everybody together and just start doing like that. I thought, oh shit, that's super progressive.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, how dare I? But I was like, that's super progressive. Adele's an amazing singer. She wanted it, like, oh, cool. And then when she got the platform, she accepted it gracefully. And then she's like, acknowledged everybody. And then she's just like, and this is who I am. And thank you so much. And then everyone's like, you transgender. I mean, transphobic asshole and da-da-da. And just like she just received so much hate. It's like, if you do feel like you're oppressed and you feel like the world's against you, I don't think Adele's like the person that... I don't think Adele's the last person who's trying to keep you down. It's the strangest. It's the strangest attack. And then it's like... I just don't like follow what they... Like when they like reach out, when celebrities like reach out on social media, like, oh, I'm sorry for this, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But like when Adele did it, it's like, oh, like she's just getting... Like first she's like... They got mad at her because like she hates fat people. Yeah. It's like, no, she just wanted to be healthy, and that's like.
I like how losing weight makes you hate fat people.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. No, she's fat shaming. She never was like, I hate it when I was fat and fat people are evil. No, she's just like, okay, I'm just gonna start losing weight and start being healthy. Like, oh, you evil son of a bitch. Yeah, it's like, whoa.
It's because they can't latch onto her as something to make themselves feel better about who they are.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. They're just kind of like, oh, this is see, you could be fat and successful and happy. And then the moment that she, like, same thing with Gabriel Iglesias. I think one time he was talking about losing weight, and people were just like, oh, you're not going to be funny anymore. It's like, holy shit. You think, like, his fatness is what makes him funny?
Yeah. For him, yeah.
Oh shit! I liked his impressions and the fact that I could sit down and watch him, and the kids could. I don't have to like leave the kids in their rooms. But yeah, that's a wild. It's crazy to see them coming after Adele like that, and then I don't know where they think this leads. Or I think it's like what you were saying, like there's three different kind of people. There's people who are informed, people who are emotional, and people who are just unengaged, just living their life. I think it's like the people who are unengaged, like, you're not gonna hear from them. They got other stuff to do with their life. The people who are informed, just like they're taking measured takes, like, yo, like, okay, this was a cool way that she did it. And people who are like having an emotional response, they're just up, they're shooting from the hip, and it's like, and it's just not.
That's why she's coming off the heels of people being mad that she lost weight.
Yeah, I don't think she should engage. Contradicting myself from the last episode, like engage, like Cause I'm like, oh, you could fix this. There's so many people on the fringe, or who aren't on the fringe, who are like middle of the road, like we were talking about. Kind of swing them over, like, oh yeah, just explain things. They'll be exposed. They'll be like, oh yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm just like, yeah, like I don't think she should have apologized for saying those things.
Did she?
Yeah. She was like, she had like a tearful apology that she did on social media.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't blame her for apologizing. It's just that I think it's encouraging a bad behavior. Like if my daughter starts like just fell out, just wah!
Well, that's what
What's
society,
wrong? What's this?
That's
Like,
what our society is now.
yeah, you're just encouraging that childish like temper tantrum. It's like, no, like that's not okay. We have to.
But that's all it's been. All of this is temper tantrum.
Yeah. It's fucking just childish beyond belief. It's like, wow. Kids get beat for that.
Try to talk about some type of black issue, and a white person's like, look, I'm just kind of tired of it. Like, well, you're tired. It's like, this is why I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's too much. Like,
yeah.
I have a life to live, and you have a life to live, and I've got issues myself. Like, could you explain this easier in a better way than making me feel so exhausted?
Yeah. And I think that the thing is that people who are outraged and shooting from the hip like that, they're not looking at it, because they're outraged, because they're so blinded and throwing that tantrum. What they're asking for is like, for you to acknowledge how they feel, as opposed to like, okay, what can we do together?
Well, that's where that phrase, facts don't care about your feelings. Like, I don't give a shit if you think there's an epidemic of black people getting killed. Statistically, not true.
Yeah, I get it. Because it's just like, I'm tired of this. It's like, you're trying to just like, yo, chill out. It's not that serious. Get your ass up. Yeah, man.
And then actually, wouldn't it be even more statistically untrue? Because if black people are disproportionately pulled over by police, they're having more interactions with police, which then should result in higher shooting rates. But if they're not, doesn't that mean like you have like a 1 in 20 chance of being shot, whereas like a white person might have like a 1 in 5? Not that that's an actual statistic. That's bullshit. Anybody hears this, it's not a real stat.
They're gonna clip that part out, and they're gonna like, one of our 10 subscribers are gonna be like, "You asshole!" First comment, you're gonna be like, "You're racist, fuck."
You cunt cracker.
You cunt cracker. Yeah, I think what it is, like someone's fucking with the
because that is true. That black people are disproportionately coming into interactions with police.
Yeah, and I think there's I think that's part true. What I know, I think the part that I know. I think what it is I don't know about the interactions, but I do know that that as a percentage per population, like percentage wise, I think black people are killed at a higher rate, but numbers wise, like more white people are killed. So people are just fucking with the statistics. Like if you.
But is that a percentage based off population or based off actual interaction?
No, it's based off population.
That's
but
what I'm saying. I'm just curious about interaction because
black
people
I don't know.
Disproportionately coming into contact with police.
Yeah, especially.
But wouldn't that in turn create a higher likelihood of you not being shot by the police?
That would be an interesting thing to look at, because it's like,
because if like 1 out of every 50 interactions ends in a shooting, whereas like whites it might be 1 out of every 20.
Yeah, then it's like, then it's actually safer for black people to interact. Yeah, it's like there's different ways to look at the statistics, but they look at the lazy overall thing. But that's the same thing that they get mad at everybody else for doing. It's like how people get mad that the crime in New York is this high. It's called like the gun violence is like 90%.
It's up 100%.
But it's double. It's like,
it literally doubled in a year.
That's a whole other like shit.
George Floyd.
But I was just like the proportion of black people that are known to commit these crimes is like so much higher than or like a ridiculous proportion. Like I think it's like 80 or 90% of the overall violent crime or the gun crime specifically. And so it's like they have the stop and frisk that targets the black community.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah. But people get mad at that statistic because they'll be like, that's such a lazy way to look at it. Because just because black people are committing these crimes doesn't mean that you should target all 13% of black people who live in New York. Because it's not all 13% that are doing these things, but we're all treated like criminals. It's like, that is a point.
It was a stupid response to a legitimate problem.
Yeah. And so we could talk about that. But then in turn, they'll flip it and do the exact same thing. They use the same kind of lazy overall statistic to defend why or to yell about how Black Lives Matter. It's like, oh well, you're just we're stopped or we're killed so much percentage wise per population by the police.
But they don't even bring that stat up.
Yeah, it does not. Yeah, it is an emotional response.
But they don't even bring up the stat that can back up.
Yeah, they
back
just say
up what they're saying.
They hear it and they just repeat it, and someone says something. They'll find one person who looks at the statistic in a snapshot view, and they're like, "Aha! See, we are being targeted." But it's like you said, if we look at all those numbers side by side, all right, let's look at interactions versus death.
I was pissed at a black girl. She was talking shit, and I was like, "How often do you get pulled over?" I forget what she said, but it wasn't that much, and I was like, I said, "I'm good for every 6 months." And then she looked at me like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've had to interact with cops like at least like 20 times in my life."
Yeah. But it's like
being questioned, like detained.
No, damn.
It's more of like a scare tactic thing.
Yeah.
Or like to piss, like, you know.
Yeah, get a rise out of you, see if you can do something.
See if I react and then they can arrest me. It's like one of those things.
Yeah. Then you don't, and they're just like...
See, it happens to white people too.
Yeah. Unheard of. Yeah. And I think it's because the narrative that they wanted to fit is like, oh, well, people treat us differently than they treat...
How long was the guy on his neck?
It was like 8 minutes, 46 seconds.
Yeah, because Chappelle did that 8-minute special thing. So it's funny that there was a white guy like 2 or 3 years earlier.
Oh, like it was on, the cop was on his neck for like 13 minutes. Yeah, where's the outrage, bro? Yeah.
And they were laughing.
Yeah. Like
he was starting to black out.
Yeah, he's screaming out for his mom.
But then when he started to black out, they were like, "Oh, don't be late for school."
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah, because
the medic was like, "He's gone," and then like one of the cops was like, "What?" And he was like, "He's dead," and they're like, "Oh, fuck."
Oh, man.
And all of them got off.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's white privilege, bro. You have the privilege of dying. You get longer time. You know, well, thank God San Francisco figured out the crime thing. Like, they fixed crime.
Just allow it?
Yeah, just like, whatever. Oh, that's, what, $800? Whatever. Go ahead, you got it. That's the first time I've ever heard of, part of the district attorney's office, like, turning in on itself. The assistant district attorney and somebody else in the office quit, and now they're like asking for a recount of the district attorney because of all the wild shit that's going on with crime. They're just like, yo, this is crazy. Like they're pointing out different stuff. Like they have videos of people just like walking into Walmarts and shit with just trash bags and just walk out, nothing.
Yeah, because you can't arrest them.
Yeah, so it's like, holy shit. So they had the one thing, the target that was hit. The target was hit like 120 times by like the same person. Stole like a total like $40,000 worth of goods. It was over the course of a year. And like he got so much pressure. Like the only reason why it's like coming to the forefront now is because of this whole recount thing. And he's like, all right, well, we'll arrest that one person right there. They know who it is. All this information, I was just like, it hasn't exceeded 950 per incident. So yeah, it's wild, man.
And this is why I sometimes have sympathy for billionaires. Because they have to eat those costs.
Yeah. And see, they'll look at that.
Some
like,
person who's making $10 an hour doesn't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah. It's like, and it goes back to the whole the prejudice thing. It's like you're so far removed, and then like your only interaction with someone from like or not the only interaction, but like the one that affects you the most that you can feel is someone stealing $40,000 worth from your store. It's like, not that it's going to hurt your pockets personally in comparison to like your overall wealth, but you're just like, what the fuck? I feel cheated. The same way it's like if I get a $1.99 charge randomly one month, I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, it's not going to stop me from being able to pay mortgage, but it's still going to be like, yo, I don't even have a whatever account. Like, you know, that's the same equivalent, like the inconvenience. So like that inconvenience.
That reminds me, I need to pay my phone bill.
I just do everything on the first one. I just let everything pile on, and then at the first of the month, I just pull shit all out, and then I just don't look at it anymore, because if I do, it just stresses me out. So just try to have it a month ahead of time, and just be like, fuck it, there it is. Well, let's see what happens after March 11th. Might have to go to San Fran. Pick up some supply.
I need a new microwave.
Oh man. But yeah, it's just so. If you interact with people like that, you're just like, oh yeah, lazy. You're like, you don't. They don't do anything for themselves, and it's like it's real easy to develop that kind of mindset. Like we do it for people who are a lot closer financially.
I feel like wouldn't you just do that then? Like just, I kind of want a monster. And just like grab the can and then just leave.
Yeah.
Like what would compel me to pay for that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay $2.50 for an energy drink when I can literally just walk out and nothing happens to me.
No repercussions? Yeah. That's a good formula.
It completely removes any incentive to pay for anything.
And even if you're like an upstanding person.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
oh, go ahead.
Like going to Walmart, buying like a bicycle and like a bunch of things. Yeah, that would make sense. But if I like needed to go to Walmart and like, oh, I need to get a gallon of milk and.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drop by for
a couple of seasoning things, and like, oh, I kind of want a monster, and then I'm just standing there with like $8 worth of items, and I'm like,
yeah,
am I really gonna spend $8? Like that would be going through my head, because I'd be like, I mean, I don't have a lot of money myself.
As you see, and you're like, well, I dropped 500 here yesterday.
I paid rent.
Yeah. And then like you're standing in line, you're inconvenienced, and you see people walk out.
My car bill,
with
like
trash bags worth of.
And you're like, I could save $8.
Just a guy. I'll come back. I'll pay for it later. Hey. You know, maybe I should not have any punishment or crime, and that way they'll do the right thing, right? I should take a...
How did not doing what I want you to do make you feel?
Oh, man. It's like in there's an Adam Sandler movie with that guy from Lonely Island. That's My Boy. Yeah. Dad, like I was like 400 pounds or something. He's like, well, you said you want a candy for dinner, like, but not every night. Whatever you wanted is like.
But I feel like that. But going back, I feel like that would just be like a lot of issues with people. Like if they like, hey, I need to get some chips and salsa for a party. Like, am I gonna spend the $8? When I can just literally just walk out of the store.
Yeah.
I can even grab a bag and bag it and then just leave.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, the convenient wise, like, why not? There's no, I don't know. I have faith in humanity. I don't think that people are just gonna like sit there and like do the right thing when there's no consequences. There's a reason why we have a system in place like that. So
that's what I'm saying. Like I would feel weird about it because that's the type of person I am.
Yeah, I'd sneak out.
I feel insecure.
Yeah,
I'd be like, oh my god, they're watching me.
Yeah, well, I feel fucked up because I'm just like, oh, like you see like these 16-year-old kids working at Target, and they're just like, just see me walk out like, yeah, this is mine, bitch. and they're just like, they can't do anything, can't really say anything, they can't call the cops. It's like, oh, he stole it. I'm just like, yeah, I feel like a piece of shit. And it's like, I go home to my kids and just like, living like a hypocrite. Yeah, guys, follow the rules and do your work.
But at the same time, like, I don't make a ton of money myself, so like,
yeah, you gotta get.
What's me like not paying for an energy drink?
Yeah.
But then that's gonna be a slippery slope because then it's just gonna escalate.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're just like,
it turns from one energy drink to like
my vacuum cleaner broke.
A couple of steaks and some potatoes, vegetables.
Yeah.
Some juice.
Man, like the
groceries for a month.
Inflation's going up. I would have been able to buy this anyway. I might as well just take it now. It's only fair, right?
Who knows how much it's gonna cost?
Yeah. Oh man, energy prices are going up. I might as well just, But yeah, San Fran's got it.
They found the solution.
And then they got rid of the merit-based school. I forgot what it was. It's like forgot what the name was. I had to write it down.
Was that the one where the Chinese people too many
Asians
were going?
Yeah.
But people have been doing that for Asians.
But that's kind of a crazy thing where it's just like...
Well, because it's okay to be racist to Asians.
Yeah, and that's not... it's just wild.
Especially in the midst of the whole Stop Asian Hate. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Stop Asian Hate, except for when they're trying to get educated.
Yeah, how dare they?
How dare they have families that care about them and work hard and are smart?
Yeah. It's just like they were every minority population that comes here is is demonized for a certain point, treated like an other.
Asians are demonized for being too good.
Well, before they were demonized the same way Mexicans were oh, you're just coming here, you take all our jobs. The gold rush, they take all our jobs.
Yeah, but that lasted for 5 minutes. Nobody cared.
Well, it happened for it was a long time, but it's the thing is you look at it in context now, the way that we look at it, we don't give a shit.
The dumb, dirty Asian did not last long.
Yeah, okay. Well,
come on, in one generation they were owning businesses.
Well, it was they were
not even one. It was the generation that got there was owning businesses. Then they would hire their own.
Well,
they kept together, and then everybody was kind of slowly crept back of that's all right.
Yeah, I think what they I don't know the time frame. You might be right, man. But I know that
maybe if you date back to the 1800s or something like that, maybe there's some issues, but
it was
nothing that long standing.
Yeah, but it was the high part of the 1800s,
that's with the railroad workers.
Yeah, and they came in there just they're doing this, but then
you had freed slaves and the Chinese were coming in and they were working on the railroads.
Yeah, I think there's so many other things.
Fucking makeshift white people were left over were doing that shit.
Yeah. Those Irish gangs in New York.
Yeah, it was just really poor, uneducated people working.
Yeah. But I think for
drinking and whoring themselves.
But that was a big thing. Yeah, that was a big thing
for they would follow the railroad.
Yeah. But I know that there was I don't know the time period. But I know they came in for that, and then people were oh, they're hardworking. All right. But then after that, then they're there's not a lot of work to go around. So they started treating Asians as second class citizens. Oh, well, you can't. I forgot what it was called, but they couldn't work. And they couldn't buy housing and stuff like that. So they started coalescing into communities and trying to fend for themselves and try to support each other. And they still exist to this day. That's what all Chinatowns across the world, across the country. And then eventually they got rid of that, and then then it's then the businesses started sprouting up more.
Well, that's the point. They've always kind of been a self-sufficient community where they haven't needed to rely on anybody giving them something.
Yeah, and then after that, it's it was a big push, and they really were all right, well, we're going to concentrate our powers on.
So every little bit of we're not going to judge you. Just was oh, well, this is just more opportunities that we're going to have because we already made our own.
Right, 100%. Then after that, cream of the crop income, in every foreign, like, you know, even Africans, like, oh, cream of the crop come over. It's like, it's not a dirt farmer from China gonna come into, like, you can't find the resources to come overseas. So it's like, it's usually like top of the food chain, academic performance wise coming over and exploiting the
I would
opportunities
necessarily
that
say always
exist.
top, but
Well, it's like the ones that come over
you're
from
getting mid-tier people that are able to get over here that want something better, and then
yeah.
Asian culture within itself promotes education.
Yeah.
But then you're living in a safer, better environment.
Yeah, and
It's
then
more
there's
conducive to learning.
and more opportunities where it's like, oh yeah, back home it's like, oh yeah, you're pretty restricted in what you can do. So, but yeah, I don't know the statistics on it, so I don't know if it's like all top tier, but I think but that's the stereotype. Like academically, that's why they're like performing on like this well, and then it's like it's like they achieve that level of excellence.
They're diligent. They don't complain as much.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like, because like they know how bad it was, so it's like, oh shit, all right, well we're just gonna make do with this, and then I'm sure they complain, but they're not gonna. There wasn't a strong feeling of. Yeah, it wasn't a strong feeling of, oh, I need you to accept me. It was like, all right, you're gonna treat me like this, cool. We just gonna come into our own communities, kind of like what the Booker T. Washingtons and the Malcolm X's were trying to do. Where it's like, oh, well, what can we do? It's like nothing. You can't help us. Start coalescing their own communities, trying to do this. But then it's
that's the only way to do it.
Right. So I think in that way, I think integration was a terrible thing for the African American community, because it kind of shattered that sense of camaraderie amongst ourselves. Because like instead of, all right, let's all come together, coalesce, and try to build each other up, it was like this obsession with like trying to get accepted by the greater society.
When you do that in the beginning, then you create a precedence and a baseline for your culture. Where, okay, this is what we have to fall back on. So then anything after that is just like, oh, this is just easier now.
Yeah. So like the
there's like a couple of white people that are cool with me at my job.
Right.
I got a promotion. Oh, that's great. That's icing on the cake. Whereas like if you don't have that to fall back on,
then it's like, you're like constantly insecure. Yeah. I think that's a big problem now.
We're not insecure. You just don't have. You don't have a job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the job insecurity. Yeah, I guess personal feeling that comes with it too. But like, yeah, the job insecurity is like, oh shit, I don't have this, and then it's like, well, it's not my fault. It's yours. It's everybody else's fault. You know, everything's gonna be all white. Kind of thing. Oh man, but yeah, that's. You shouldn't penalize. Like that's crazy. San Fran.
So you're a coon. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
Amanda Seals.
Oh my god.
So because you're black and you aren't the biggest fan of that, you're a coon.
Yeah. Yo, that's oh my god.
I like how it's always this like binary thing. It's like
yeah.
If you're black and you don't like this, you're
Man, yeah, I'm just gonna surf through some of the quotes that I ended up just watching until you watched the episode. I'm just like, oh.
Was it the episode I was talking about?
The first episode. Yeah. But it's just kind of weird how just the little cap on the top of San Fran. It's like where it's encouraging, and now it's like it's reached a turning point now where it's like, all right, some like 3 people from the board are being recounted. The district attorney being recounted because like shit's just too crazy. But it's like the before that point, we were rewarding bad behavior and we're penalizing good behavior. If you achieve too much, you're gonna be penalized. Oh, you're too. It's not diverse enough. And it's like. Your academic achievements is just isolated to this community, and you know the terrible thing about it is like the Lowell High looked at it is it's a very academically rigorous program, and it's not to say that minorities can't do it, but it's like you're setting people up for failure if you include people just based off of race and you don't take into account their academic achievement. And then it's like, okay, well, you're putting them in these schools that have this high academic rigor and not a lot of support for people who don't achieve this level of perform at this level, and you're just setting them up for failure. So it's like, I don't think that's the way to go about it. I think there should be the
there's some schools that are doing it. There's two different measures. Like there's just people who are just academically achieve a certain level, and then they can take on more academic rigor. That's the best thing for them because you're gonna get the best out of that person by doing that thing. You can't treat everybody like that. But there's some people who have like who come from a very like a despotic, like a ridiculously like abhorrent lifestyle, and they come in at a really low academic achieving level, not because of any fault of their own, but just because their environment has that's the best that they can produce. They come into school at this level, and then they end up achieving so much more, such a greater level because the school's so good, and because they're able to get the person from here to there. It's like that's a testament to how good the school is. But, so like the person could go from like achieving this low to like this high, as opposed to like coming in with like already high academic discipline and rigor, and come from this high to that high. And it's like, yeah, just because you have a great improvement doesn't mean that you'll be able to go to this high performing academically rigorous high school, but it does mean that you probably potentially have more potential than the people who come in at a high level. And then in which case it's like set them up in an environment that would be the most beneficial for them. It's like you're not gonna, as a coach, you're not gonna be the same on everybody. You're not gonna push all your players the same. Some people are gonna crack under that pressure, and some people are just gonna be like, oh, they need a little bit more. Yeah.
You said crack.
It's like yeah. honky. But that's the going back to like a couple episodes back when we're talking about utilizing intelligence in the right way. That would be a more measured approach. And if people were talking about stuff like that, instead of a bunch of lower highs or aspiring to lower highs, we should also put these other schools on the map that have like the how much of a difference that people who come in at this level and achieve at that level. We should also put those places on a pedestal and see what they're doing and incorporate it into places like Lowell High. So even if they have someone who comes in who's like falling behind, they'll be able to keep up with the people who came in at academically rigorous or academically disciplined. Or maybe even if these other schools are able to do this, then maybe if we incorporate these principles on top of the academic rigor, these people who are achieving excellence will be able to achieve something resembling perfection. It's like we could have those conversations, but just to like blanket lazily, you're Asian. There's so many Asians here. Like, you guys are achieving, like, this is racist. You guys, there's too many Asians. Now, I'm not me saying that's not racist, but you guys achieving too much is racist. It's like the Guantanamo Bay joint. I'm not gay. Y'all gay for sucking my dick.
Quite frankly, I'm just disgusted even thinking about it.
Oh fuck!
What was that guy's name? Big
Rob or something like that.
Big Rob. It's like, they're getting Big Rob. Oh
yeah, everybody.
And then
all the people in the adjacent jail cells.
No, the two guys that were talking to him were like, "Oh, this is easy. Come here, big guy."
Yeah. They're like, "Oh yeah."
And got all hearing the sucking sound.
Oh wow! It's been so long since I've seen the movie.
I just remembered the sound it made when he opened his pants. No, it was like the sound of like wet flesh like coming out and then like flopping back down.
I need to watch that movie again. That's fucking damn, yo, Taco Bell. Let's bring out the worst. Clear out your system.
It's got to be something I had last night because I haven't processed it
fast. Yeah, sit in your stomach for 5 hours.
I did have some uniquely flavored hummus.
Oh, uniquely flavored.
It was like an everything bagel flavored hummus.
Oh, kind of curious.
It's not that great.
Oh, damn.
Don't try it.
I love hummus.
No. An everything
bagel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The everything bagel flavored. There's too much happening.
Yeah. The Eternals it. The Eternals. Yeah.
I still don't even know what that's about.
Don't worry about it.
No, I watched it until the last 20 minutes.
Don't worry.
And I don't know what it's about.
Yeah, it's fine.
I was like, what are these things?
Yeah, they just That's a whole other. That might be a 3-hour joint right there. But yeah, no, fuck. I'll touch. I mean, it just sucks. The part that sucks about that. No, fuck it. I'm just gonna be a pain in the ass editing it. We'll touch on it later. but yo, you sweating?
No, I'm having
slow leaks again.
I'm having an issue. It's like the taint wars or something.
But no, I forgot. It was San Fran. They were getting rid of a lot of symbols. They're changing a lot of the names of the schools also. Like they were getting rid
What
of.
names did they have that were racist?
Oh, you know, Paul Revere.
Oh my god. Was he a racist?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, he's not significant in any kind of way, right? Like, I mean, what did he do? Fucking tattletale?
He was a tattletale.
No, but the big ones that they got rid of was George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. I guess they don't like the $1 and $5 bills, huh?
What is the issue with Lincoln?
Oh, well.
They explain that?
I had to look this up because
I know they were trying to do that in D.C.
Oh, man. Well, like, for...
These black people, these old black guys had to tell them that black slaves constructed this. Or freed black slaves. They put their money together to build it.
Oh, my God. This has thing. Abraham Lincoln was a racist and other hard truths from our messy past. And it's just like goes into detail about how like he at first didn't want to free the slaves, and he was even though he's credited with doing it and he did it eventually, like it wasn't like on his to-do list. It's like he was preoccupied with other things, and it's just like it's more of a circumstantial thing as to why it happened, as opposed to him being this benevolent white savior that he's depicted on those movies. Oh man, so you know, it's because he was too busy trying to keep the country together and you know shit like that. You know, racist fuck. You gotta take down Lincoln.
I'm just very confused.
Yeah, no, they're just it's very interesting. It's very interesting looking back through those kind of lenses. I mean, but in a world where Dave Chappelle's benefiting from white privilege and Joe Rogan's a racist for platforming the likes of Daryl Davis and Cornel West, then of course Abraham Lincoln is a racist. Why wouldn't he be?
That's disconcerting.
It completely ignores the fact that there's like those people. There's even. I wish we took a more nuanced approach when we studied history, because like even back at those times where like racism was or like slavery was normalized, those even people back in those times who were uncomfortable with the idea of what we were doing with African Americans. You know, bringing Africans over and enslaving them. There are people like back then. Like it's not like that all of a sudden the abolitionist movement just like
abolition.
Please forgive my accent.
You must absolve.
You are not welcome here, no. But yeah, they're just it's been an issue. Like people didn't like it, and then like eventually, like it's a gradual move, and then it eventually exploded the way that it did. But people like to think that like the pluck little things out of history, like oh, this is when it all started. But it's like no, it's always been nuanced. It's always been people have always been complex. It's not as simple as binary as people are trying to make everything out to be nowadays. Mm-hmm. And so but they try to look at Abraham Lincoln through this binary lens. And I remember when people were joking about it. Where just like, oh, they're taking down all these Confederate statues and da da da. And when's it gonna stop? You know, like one day they're gonna take down Lincoln. Ha ha ha. And I was just like,
Nah. Are you talking about the Trump thing?
Just taking down the Confederate
Well,
statues.
Trump has that speech where he says, like, well, what's
was it Trump
next?
that said that?
Like,
okay.
I mean, other people did, but he had a speech where he was saying, like, I mean, they want to tear down these Confederate statues. What's next?
Yeah.
Washington, Lincoln, and then people shitted on him. They're like, well, this is just absurd. He's trying to equate the Confederacy to, like, Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, within 2 months or something like that, they're, like, trying to tear it down.
So good. Wow. Yeah, but that's why they don't like Lincoln. But even San Fran was like, all right, like, yo, this is fucking crazy. Like, stop it. Like, okay, we're not doing this.
Why do they care so much?
They just want to be righteous. They want to be virtuously righteous. They want to be the good guys, so they have to go back and...
Like, I've never walked by a statue and been like...
Like, repulsive.
Or honored it.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever walked by a statue of George Washington and been like, I'm in the presence of greatness? Like, you just kind of looked, I wonder who that is. I think it's Washington.
Yeah.
And then you just keep walking.
Yeah.
Or you don't even look.
Yeah. But, like, even, like, I mean, it's crazy.
So it's like all this effort for, like, absolutely nothing. Like,
yeah, I think, yeah.
Now I can't look at it.
But if there ever was, like, presidents to be exalted, it's like, you know, Lincoln and George were probably the ones that cared the most about unifying the country. So it's like even like George Washington didn't like the idea of political parties because he didn't like how dicey and how disgusting, like, sniping at each other got. And so it's like, yeah, that's why he bought out of politics after. I mean, not that a lot of presidents stick around and be like, I wonder what's next. This is fun. But he really didn't like it. He had a terrible experience. He did not want to do that again. He didn't want, like, he's just like, no, this is stupid. The whole political party system is stupid. And Lincoln, he was trying to keep everybody unified. Like, even though he wrote about how he didn't like slavery, but he felt like this wasn't the time for pushing the country in that direction because he knew things were like teetering on the brink. And even without him saying it, it's still the Confederacy happened. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and then he fought to maintain it, and then eventually he passed the amendments and that abolishing slavery and just move forward from there in the midst of the country like going the bloodiest war that we've yet to fight. And no, but that's not enough. That's not enough.
Jesus Christ. That was Taco Bell. I could taste that.
But it wasn't enough. He had good rat meat. It's crazy. I don't. But it's like we were talking about before. Everyone's making those emotional, like, you know, by the hip kind of responses. Like, no one's really taking into account what the nuances or the gravity of the situation is or how complex everything is. That's why movies suck, because there's not a story to tell. They don't understand the intricacies of human behavior and how things work.
Well, they do, but it's just of how they're doing it.
Yeah, it's just lazy.
Well, nobody wants somebody that's self-involved.
Oh, the president.
Because most interpersonal issues, it's not like you're just a fucked up person. You're not like striving for acceptance of society. Like, it's like my mom didn't hug me enough, and I have bad relationships with women. And it's a real struggle for me, and I just want to be loved, and I don't know how to be loved. It's not like, God, I wish people that I didn't know accepted me.
Yeah. Like, why do you care?
That's just a narcissist who doesn't have any real friends anyway.
Yeah.
Those are the people that, like, I don't even want to know this person.
Yeah. It's just like, just encouraging, like, we're trying to feed insecurity. Like, we're just you're insecure? What a great attribute to have. Let me feed into this wonderful character characteristics.
You shouldn't be insecure, and you know how you shouldn't be insecure? We should all change for you.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh shit! Where did I put my? Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
You lose a bead.
Yeah. Slipped it right between my crack.
I don't know if the audience is gonna pick that up. Get a little bit louder.
Yeah. Oh shit!
I think that's a John Cena.
Who's the greatest president we've ever had?
His name is John. What is it? Bill Maher had a good monologue for the last one he did.
I think I saw clips of it. I don't think I saw the monologue. But he had that guy from CNN. And he had this other lady who she seemed like she was intelligent, but she was just you know what I mean, like she wasn't good at vocalizing her opinions.
Her intelligence.
Yeah. Versus like the other guy, he's just like he's on TV like, and he's used to like those quick shots. Like it seemed
he was
like
more prepared for what was happening.
Yeah, it was almost like he was talking in you know how they people make fun of Ludacris because he always like it's like everything he says like an exclamation point at the end. It's like everything he was saying, like he was just shooting talking points off, and where she's like trying to have a measured conversation, and like they ended up just talking about different things, and where she's more like, oh yeah, like I think we need to look more internal and like focus on the problem that we have in order to move forward as a country and be more unified. And he was just like blue blah blue.
Boo blah boo.
Yeah. He just kept shooting off. It was like,
bam,
idiot, bingo, bango, bongo. It's just like, oh god. It was like
he's a 1950s character of a Cuban.
It was so cringy though. I was just like, and then like the assistant district attorney from San Fran was on his thing at the beginning. So I saw that, and then I saw a little bit of their back and forth with the lady, and I was just like, so I just stopped. Oh, what was in his monologue? Do you remember what he was talking about?
I've been half trying to figure it out while listening to you.
Oh yeah, my bad.
No, because there was something with John Cena. He took a jab. He took a jab at John Cena, and then who did he else fucking shit on? Oh, LeBron.
Kind of like pandering to China type of thing, or
yeah,
I see that. Yeah.
Well, because he made mention of that thing where LeBron criticized the Houston Rockets. Oh, because this was about that Chinese chick, the American Chinese girl that played in the Olympics for China, essentially for money.
Yeah. She pretended like it was to honor her.
In order to do it, she had to renounce her U.S. citizenship.
Damn.
And she's been like not answering that question fully if she's still like an American citizen. But everybody knows it's like you definitely like had to renounce your citizenship.
Yeah.
Because you can't be a dual citizen and represent China in the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's like a rule China has.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's some countries like that.
And she's made something like close to $30 million since the Olympics started.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah, like she's on a bunch of commercials
for
now.
China.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Good for her personal wealth, but it's just like, I think it's kind of weird to be like, because she was born here, right?
Yeah, born and raised here.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just kind of.
And she's like, I guess, a Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah. Or I don't know if it's a model or like I know Victoria's Secret is. Yeah. Sponsored.
But whatever. He was just talking about how like it's just funny that we all talk about things, but we're like glossing over like a dictatorship that mass executes people.
Yeah.
And then he brought the Houston Rockets person saying that he stands with Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
I think he was also comparing Russia. Like, we're having all this disdain for Russia, but like China's doing far worse than what the Russian government's doing.
No, it's funny. We did the same thing during World War II, where we talk about how terrible Germany was under Hitler, and then but we kind of ignored all the wild stuff that Stalin was doing in Russia, like experimenting on his people. And like, you know, if we just look at pure numbers, it's like, yo, Russia did some wild shit. Meanwhile, they're the good guys in the Allies versus the Axis of Evil story that we kind of lazily look at history through that lens. Sure. Damn. But yeah, I mean, like, if she's making that pop.
He said, like, well, LeBron said the Rockets GM needs to educate himself before he, like, comments on things. And then he said, well, I'm sure LeBron has educated himself, but, you know, then he had to sell some shoes. and it's him, like, handing shoes to, like, I think a Chinese kid.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
And then he showed the video of John Cena apologizing.
In
Mandarin because he referred to Taiwan as a country, and it is a country. Like it's not a country.
Right. You know, you gotta sell.
Yeah. And then he's like, when you're powerful when you've got LeBron James and like this,
like these symbols of like
giant
machoism, American machoism.
And then he said something like, you know, bending over and taking it up the ass. Like he said something like to demasculate or that's a word.
I don't know, dehumanize.
Emasculate.
Emasculate. Yeah.
He said something to emasculate though.
Yeah. That's a solid point, man. Yeah, I mean, I know they're just making money moves. That's what it is, and in the process, it doesn't. Well,
that's what I think. The John Cena thing was more. I think people didn't know that he spoke Mandarin.
Yeah,
I knew he spoke Mandarin.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had been learning it, and then there was like a movie where like, what's that movie with Bill Hader and Amy Schumer? LeBron's even in it.
Oh wow! No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, you loser!
I'm sorry, man.
You're not a big movie guy, though.
No, yeah, I don't watch.
Like unless something like you have to like something has to somehow find its way.
Yeah.
And then you're like, that looks interesting. I'll see it. You're not like.
Yeah, I'm too busy watching my anime and.
Oh, it's called Trainwreck.
Trainwreck? Okay.
With Amy Schumer and Bill Hader.
No, I haven't seen it. I haven't heard of it.
What was my point?
You talk about how you knew that LeBron. I'm sorry.
Oh,
John Cena spoke.
So
Mandarin.
John Cena was for a brief time in the movie her boyfriend.
Okay.
And he like said something.
Oh, and so that's like
But also because of my loose fandom with wrestling, I knew that he had been learning Mandarin.
Okay. Yeah, and I know it was big because I think that was around the time when that new Fast and Furious movie was going to come out, and I know they sell oodles and noodles to the Chinese market, so they're just like he's like, oh no, I'm sure he got some pressure from the producers like, hey.
So he had been like fluent in Mandarin for like a few years, so I think the blowback against him for that was probably more the fact that like
the shock.
Holy shit, he's speaking Chinese. Whereas like I knew that for like the last 6 years that he at least been. Well, no, he's fluent.
Yeah.
But no, like I see what you mean. Yeah. So I knew for at least like over half a decade he had been like learning Mandarin. So him speaking it wasn't like I was just like, that's weak. He's about like, but it didn't do anything for me.
But a lot of other people they just weren't aware, so it's like a big shock.
Even Rogan talked about it. It's like, oh my god, he's on there speaking Mandarin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, I kind of knew that. So
watch some real fighting, Joe Rogan, man. Watch some that weak UFC shit, man. It's all
fake bullshit.
Stupid ketchup packets running everywhere. Racist.
Yeah, so his wasn't really like long lived.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody hates John Cena for apologizing. Yeah. It was just more like alarming that he spoke Mandarin.
Yeah.
Whereas like LeBron, people still bring up him bash, but that's because he chose to be a spokesman for doing the right thing.
Right. I don't know.
And that includes glossing over genocide.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, Yeah, you know the crazy
You know,
thing.
there is a Jewish problem.
Jesus.
I watched that movie last night.
Oh, okay.
Conspiracy.
I don't know what that one is either. Shit, man, I'm so out of the loop.
That's the. I think it's called the Wannsee Committee, or something like that. And that's a secret meeting between high-level officials within different government agencies in Nazi Germany that got together and came up with what is referred to as the final solution.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Or more of how they were going to orchestrate it.
Yeah.
Because they already, the SS knew what they were going to do, and then they needed to get the high-level agencies involved to understand, like, well, this is how it's all going to be done, and this is how we're going to work together to get it done. And then they were like, okay, sounds good. Hear, hear.
Man, it's so wild how crazy a minority thought process like that, or minority thought can take such a large effect all over the world. It's like kind of like how this whole woke stuff is kind of taking effect everywhere. Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do if the United States government chooses to do something?
And see,
we don't have the power and resources to stand against it. We're just going to fucking...
Yeah. It's like, oh, shit, man.
Well, no more podcasts.
Oh, man, that Hash Act is...
Are you doing anything this Thursday? Maybe we'll, like, hang out, talk.
I think we could drink in the open. Maybe talk some shit. And not publicize it for our 10 subscribers to tune into. But, yeah, like, that's a lot. There's, like, a minority mindset, like, taking hold over the powerful is that's a scary thought that can happen. And it's something that's so organized or like, with a little bit of organization, a minority thought can become, like, such a mainstream thing. And, like, even if it's not mainstream, it's just something that's so prevalent in society where it's just taking hold. And we need to stop that bullshit. Like, openly just talk about, like, how, like, hey, this whatever the fuck is going on with this, we need to stop. We need to cut that shit out. Like, stop this emotional response and stop encouraging this bad behavior. And I think especially with this whole San Fran thing, it's starting to make that turn. But, there has to be more of a concerted effort against, like, how this plays out. And it's like, we're just going to keep attacking people like Adele for her sexist or transphobic. And this is like, this is wild shit. Like, chill out. And then it's like, people going after, like, their private interests or, like, protecting their pockets. It's like, we take it for granted that, because we happen to be the richest country in the world, that there's no way that we could get lapped. But it's like a system that China has in place where they're coinciding the capitalist machine and have a regime behind it that is trying to match up the capital gains with their ideology, their nationalist ideology is like a dangerous synchronization that it's an efficient machine that has the potential to overlap us as, like, the big economic hegemony in the world. And we take that shit for granted. Like, we're just like think, we got innovation, we'll be all right. And so it's like, and I remember there was this guy I follow, going back to Black community and trying to link this all in. This guy, Dr. Boyce Watkins, I think I butchered his last name, but Dr. Boyce, he had this picture.
Watkins sounds right.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you got it.
Validated.
I think I know who you're talking.
But he had this picture on his Instagram, and it has, like, all these black rappers on there, influencers like Jay-Z, T.I.P., Swiss Beats, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows, like, I was like, black excellence or something like that, or, like, we're doing all this. But then he asked this question on there. He's just like, well, like, look, there's probably, like, $1 billion, or like, this picture probably full of people, like, collectively probably worth $1 billion. And on this picture, and not one black-owned business or manufacturing plant or bank or hospital or town. It's
well,
like
that guy's not even black.
oh yeah, DJ Khaled isn't.
You didn't have to look and you knew what I was
Yeah, I was trying to think. I was like, wait, who's not black on? Oh yeah. But you got like the likes of like Jay-Z on there. You got that guy from who did Andre the Big Boy. But anyways, it's like but he was asking he was he like kind of opened up a conversation like, oh, should we ask more of them and like should we do this? Should we do that? And
I don't want to. Most of these people, I don't want anything to come from them. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But he had like an interesting take on it, and I was just like, and it's fun like
over 1 billion in this picture. Not one black-owned independent town, school, hospital, bank, insurance company, manufacturing company, or militia. I don't know why militia's in it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, militia's the last one.
Oh shit! Jesus Christ! Kind of glanced over that shit. Oh, what the fuck?
I know that's a little bit of the average. I don't need a militia.
God damn. But I get like no, but he had like an interesting conversation and he was kind of like he's like no, I'm not trying to blame them or like chastise them, but he was kind of like, but it's like it's just kind of interesting. Like yeah, we've achieved this level of independent wealth in the African American community, but then at the same time, communally, we're not doing these things, and it's not like we have to look on them to do so. But it's just like oh, this is like an interesting dynamic that's probably not as prevalent amongst the other races.
Well, that comes from like a hustler mentality.
Right. They're just it's a different world.
It's not a mentality of like creating structures and generational wealth.
Yeah.
And then building on that generational wealth.
Yeah.
Constantly growing and build like Jay-Z does it, but
I don't know.
Kanye, but
yeah.
There's very few.
Yeah.
I don't even know if LeBron has a school to an extent, but
yeah, I think that like all little things just could be like, oh yeah, I
but
got
it's
this.
isn't it a public school though?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I honestly don't.
Because I think the taxpayers still have to pay for it.
But it's like I'm not looking
Maybe
for them
a charter
for
school.
Yeah, but I'm not looking for them for guidance. I'm not sure, but I'm not looking for them for guidance or like trying to be like, hey, you should do this. But I thought it was like an interesting observation or conversation that to have. But you know, instead of doing stuff like this though, I mean, we shouldn't be like looking at this and having conversations about that, and like we should be following the likes of a real doctor like Umar Johnson. You know.
Depending who watches this, I don't know if they know who that is.
Oh yeah, oh he's a trip, man. He's a fun.
That's interracial relationships.
Yeah, that's a fun follow right there. He says some wild shit. Well, like you know what, like and then like I think I saw something
for black women.
Yeah, and I saw something last year where he's trying to
for black queens.
He's just trying to build a school for like effort, and he constantly he's like
needs more money.
But then he'll talk about it. He's just like, yeah, we haven't gotten this up and running because there's a lot of work that needs to get done in it. And yeah, I want to have black engineers and black whatever come in and do it for free. You know, it's kind of fucked up that they won't. While he's been raising all this money and just he's even called out like, yeah, you know, Swiss Beach needs to promote this fight, man. Someone needs to call out, yeah, I'm gonna fight Mike Tyson, and it's like it's some wild shit. Like he just says wild shit all the fucking time.
I didn't hear about the Mike Tyson shit.
Oh, it's not even worth looking at.
I just know he's scared of the snow bunny epidemic.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, it's just whereas like Boyce Watkins, like that was an interesting thing he was talking about with the rappers. But the thing is, this is a guy who talks about black people building, like he writes books and like self-help books and like stuff that like depicting the economy or how you could get involved, more invested in the economy, or more invested in building the wealth as opposed to just stashing your money away. Even if you're doing good for yourself, instead of just stashing your money away, building something for yourself and investing for yourself, like even on an individual level. And then he talks about things like communally, like like black the black economics of America, and like he talks about all these interesting stuff, but instead of like he's not as popular as Umar Johnson, and it's just, and I think that's kind of why, or an example of how like these fringe elements or like, these radical minority ideas about like, oh yeah, like I'm offended, and oh the world needs to cater to me, and like these wild takes on the way that the world should be, and how Lincoln is racist, and George Washington should be taken down and shit like that. It's like, that's why it's so prevalent, because people just happen to just care or want to pay attention to shit like that, as opposed to something that's like constructive or slow growing, and it's not as fun, it's not as electrifying as all that other shit. So, but yeah, man, I think the time's coming, man. The tide's turning, but I don't think it's like a concerted effort, and I think it's necessary, like like how I was like, oh, these guys are all independently wealthy, but
Yeah.
it's like, which is cool for them, and like, oh, it's nice, like, oh, to look at that, it's like, oh, look at someone who just like bust their ass and able to accomplish that level of economic achievement, cool. But it's a whole other thing for us to have like a concerted effort as Americans to come together and be like, you know what, this thing that we're doing is kind of fucked up, and let's hammer down on like the things that aren't really constructive for our society.
Preach it, motherfucker.
Oh no! You see what Castro's sons is rescinding the whole thing up in Canada.
Castro's.
Yeah, it's true though.
Justin Trudo. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, that was wild shit. You saw the lady getting trampled by the horses, man. It's just,
God, they're liable to execute that motherfucker when he leaves.
Jesus.
He's gonna have to leave the country. I don't think he's gonna be able to stay in Canada.
Yeah, man. I've never seen never in my wildest dreams when I thought Canada would have turned out like this. It's wild.
That's what they get, man. Everybody's talking about how you should go to Canada because of Trump. Now look what happened.
Yeah. Now Trump's gone and Canada's going to shit. Like, whoa, what the fuck?
Oh,
it's Trump's fault, of course. And Lincoln.
It's because Trump didn't wear blackface.
Yeah.
If Trump had worn blackface,
it would have
really.
Yeah.
He could have had a redemption tour. It would have been all right.
I blame Lincoln. It's all Lincoln's fault.
I blame Taft. Blame William Taft. Oh, Billy Bitch Tits. Billy Bitch. Didn't Taft die in the bathtub?
Oh, I don't know.
I think Taft died in the bathtub.
Classy.
Someone died in the bathtub.
Oh.
I think it was Taft.
Oh.
Or he got stuck in a bathtub.
Shit.
Something happened with Taft in the bathtub. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look it up for next time. This is gonna be too long to go into. I kind of wanted to get into the whatchamacallit, the critical race theory that John Oliver did.
That's gonna have to do its own.
Yeah, and then everything's gonna be all white. Like, I actually looked at the first episode and I was just like, holy shit. I think I stopped it like after like every few sentences. There's like some nuggets of like, oh, okay, like they're talking about different historical figures. Like, oh, that was
I couldn't get through like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was writing so many. Just even some of the songs are just like, oh wow.
Oh, I didn't get that far. What's that?
Like some of the songs that they play in the background while they're transitioning from one thing to another. I like the way that they just.
I was not too pleased.
Yeah, it was an interesting ride, man. Oh yeah, we're gonna touch on that next time, but yeah, there's way too much stuff. I can't even. This is gonna take a long time.
Is there something small?
Or
maybe something outside of the Mr. Oliver.
Like the all white women are Karens. That kind of imply that all white women are Karens in the.
Is that what you got?
Everything is gonna be all white. There's a part. I might have to take it and just clip it, and then we're just gonna react to everything that they say, because it's just like,
we could do a reactionary video.
Yeah, it's endless. The amount of shit that they have in there, it's like, oh, I see why I got a lot of.
No. What do they say about the Karens? I don't remember that part.
Well, they were making this equivalency about how about white fragility and like pretending to be upset every time like something happens, and they're just saying and they're saying like, no, there's a part where this lady was just like, well, it's not just some white women, this is all white women. And so they're implying that all white women are Karens. They're implying that all Republicans are racist. They're implying that January 6th was about the racial dynamics.
I'm trying to figure out the Karen thing, like the exact structure of it, because I don't remember that.
It was towards the end. It was you remember the
Maybe I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a giant reactionary video. That might just be
because I know the January 6th thing, and that was
that's
like,
kind of on the.
Well, that was just absurd. Like of how they were talking about. Well, the whole documentary started with that. It was like that's your starting point.
Yeah.
This political insurrection.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with race.
Right. It seems like that's an example of like how like just looking at things through looking at complicated thing through a simple lens, or like you're rebranding something like it'd
be like somebody in like the 1850s talking to like people who are like talking about how we should secede because of state rights, and states should be able to decide what they're going to do with their slaves, and then that person say, "Oh, you're just a racist."
Yeah.
It's like, well, I might be a racist, but this is not a racist issue. This is a states' right issue.
It's like and they kind of talked about that, the Confederacy and stuff like that too, where it's like,
well, at least those
things are interconnected. Where it's like, oh well, like it's about states' rights, was the states' rights, the state's ability to own the means of production through the slavery. So it's like there's an art. You could at least make the connection, like, oh, if you force states' rights in this specific instance, it's easy to point to why.
But the main vocal point of why this is even happening is because of states' rights.
Yeah. So it's like, and
that's why some people say that it wasn't about slavery.
Right, which is not exactly true, but it's like, it's a cohesive thing. It's like it's slavery and states' rights was
an underlining, or a major underlining. It was like a 1 point B. I forget. I sound so stupid.
I don't know. I'm just not familiar with that.
You don't know formats?
What point? 1 B. Formats?
Like a 1 would be like the main subject, and then a 1A.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay,
it's not point. It's just be 1B.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Like 1A would be states' rights, and then 1B would be like
100%
keeping slavery.
Right.
It's like the tier below it.
Well, I think it's like I think they're like they're one and the same. Where it's like, because it's like
well, that's why I said 1.
I follow.
Because then once you start deviating from that, then you need to go to the number 2 and have its own subsets.
Yeah, because it's kind of like you could make an argument like they're trying to rebrand it and categorize it as one thing versus another, where it's like those things were cohesively were interlinked on such a fundamental level, like you're saying it's 1A and 1B, as opposed to just like these being two separate entities and like it's
whereas
about
January
this,
6th, it was literally just votes.
Yeah, it's like they thought that
the election's illegitimate.
Right, they thought it was illegitimate.
It wasn't like, it's illegitimate because black people voted.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not even a 1A, 1B thing. It's just
people voted in this election.
Yeah,
it's not legitimate.
No one made that point. Like that wasn't why people showed up to the Capitol. There were people who legitimately felt.
They didn't show up because we hate black people.
Yeah. So it's like it's just a wild way to. It's a stretch.
To say that was like a white supremacist rally.
Yeah, that was impressive. But there's people who do believe that like half the country's racist. If you vote Republican, you're racist.
Well, it's because there's so few like crazy displays of like outward racism that like to try and get something to like if you tried to like pick up a Klan rally and like show pictures of it, it's like it's 8 guys in hoods. Like,
yeah.
walking down a street of a small town who just has like a scattering of people questioningly like, well, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
Because there's only 8 of them.
Yeah.
Like 1 or 2 aren't even in uniform.
Yeah.
Just in like sheets.
Parading around around towns where there's no black people. They're not.
Yeah, it's some small rural town in like Alabama or like Arkansas.
Yeah, I think it's because of like people are afraid of the wolf in sheep's clothing. They're afraid of the races that are hiding behind different principles. And it's like
they're not afraid of that. They're not even thinking about that.
I would imagine that the smartest among the people who are upset about this, that's what they're afraid of.
Yeah, but if you were afraid of that, you wouldn't even be doing this.
Right. So
you would try and be logically trying to like do this.
Right.
We need to expose them for who they really are.
I'm thinking about the emotional reaction to like, okay, they're afraid of people who are actual racists who are hiding behind the guise of nationalism to pervade their racist.
They would be more afraid of like white liberals.
If it was fully fleshed out ideas, but it's like I said, it's just an emotional response. They're just like shooting from the hip. They're like, oh, this sounds like
the voting rights thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm sure you can explain it that like it can be racist.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people who would just casually like say that it's racist, it's like, oh well, black people don't know where a DMV is.
Right.
Like they're the ones who are incredibly racist.
No, it's not.
Poor black people don't have the
means to get an ID.
Well, no, poor black people don't have the system in place where they know how to like get these things.
Yeah.
And it's like you do realize black people like like go into clubs and bars and get cigarettes. And
just like
go to a casino, strip club,
all those things
drive
IDs, bro. Like,
drive.
Not
every black person doesn't have a bank account. Like, they need an ID to go to the bank. Like, there's so many things that you need. At least a state identification card.
Right, and I think like if they were being honest about it, it would be like more of an interesting conversation. They could be like, oh, those communities.
I'm talking about like the white person that you walk by down the street.
Oh, who has like this kind of
who's like a liberal and like it is right. There is race. It's like poor black people can't get to a DMV. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the people actually making arguments.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that casual white liberal who's like thinks that black people are just like incapable of like doing anything.
Right. They don't, It's like you didn't like you think like it sounds good in your head, but then
because you feel sorry for them.
It actually is. Yeah.
It's so difficult being black. It's like, but you don't know if my life was. You don't know how difficult that even is.
Right. As opposed to like if we had
my difficulty could just be like some casual things, and maybe like 3 to 5 like major like like somebody called me the N-word publicly or something like that. But then like, and that sucks, and that's something I have to deal with. But outside of that, like it's fine.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I don't like that.
I know my mom and my dad. Everything's cool.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, I live in a nice household. I have an ID, and I'm gonna go.
My dad went to college. Yeah. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. It was interesting.
Yeah. They're encouraging me to do good for myself and pursue my hopes and aspirations. The oppression is real. Yeah, that was like someone's racist, someone else just like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Fuck you. Like it's not.
It's just the reverse. That's actually reverse racism.
What I see. Like trying to overcompensate.
Not like the whole you're racist against white people, but like
the whole like trying to overcorrect. Like black people are so disadvantaged that they can't have IDs.
They are inferior, so we need to guide them.
Right. And see, and that's an example of systemic racism, where it's like the culture that pervades this idea of we're less.
You don't understand black culture, and you don't understand black people, so you like assume that they can't figure out how to get an ID or something.
And even I think.
Have you ever been to a DMV where black people like live?
Go to DC.
No, I say that because I've been.
No, I know.
I walked in. It was like 80% black people, and it was like the biggest DMV I had ever seen. And I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
And then I started laughing. I'm like, what do they mean they can't find an ID? It's like 300 black people.
Yeah, like the honest conversation that they don't want to have because they know it comes across as racist. They know they actually have to do something about it. Is the people who live in like the bayous and like the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, who like you're supposed to have a license, but people driving around without licenses or permits and like.
How could you be black and be driving around without a license?
There's places in the country where it's just like that's.
No, I meant like in a major area.
Yeah,
because you know, like you know, you're potentially going to get pulled over by the cops.
Yeah,
because if that's supposed to be a thing, wouldn't you want to make sure that you have an ID and you don't give the police a reason to
100%
crack your skull?
Yeah, 100%. But the thing is that
or just arrest you.
Yeah, but like the thing that they're afraid of is there's areas in the country where people are just like, it's so destitute. There's like, that's not what police are focusing on. People don't bother going getting an ID. Like older people don't.
They probably get away with DUIs.
Yeah, 100%. It's a normal thing.
Harold.
I've driven some places where it's just like, all right, man, I'll see you later. Crack open that beer and just driving all the way home. Just the cops are not worried about shit like that. Like it's just not. It's a different environment. So they're worried about places like that where like people are voting and they don't require an ID in those places where it's just like, oh well, by doing the voter ID thing, like you know that you're disadvantaging a lot of people in those areas, and they happen to vote Democratic, and a lot of them happen to be black, so they're just like, they're racist. It's like, no, let's do better for the rest of the country. Like there's places where like there's outhouses because they don't have running water. Yeah, so it's like that's kind of fucked up that we live in this country where it's like so.
I mean, it's not that fucked up.
Well, I mean,
depending on where you're going.
Well, I mean, I'm saying that if you care about those kind of communities, it's fucked up to pretend to care when you by talking about voting rights, but you don't care when it comes to providing them running water and making sure that there's some place in the country you turn on the tap, that shit just comes out yellow, like it's just like it's just.
Well, that's different. I was more thinking of like the Appalachia.
Oh yeah,
like, you really can't expect to have running water everywhere. Like, people living in the mountains.
Yeah. No, but I'm just talking about the population that they postulate to care about. They're not really doing anything for those populations. In a so it's just this is a giant smokescreen, and I got an issue with smokescreens. Not a fan. Yeah, we'll just end it there. Cause shit, I don't want to get dragged into something else. But yeah, definitely I want to touch on I'm gonna splice up that the everything's gonna be all white first episode, and then we're just gonna react to that. And I think I'll do the same thing with John Oliver too, cause oh boy. And then
that'll be fun. But I guess we can react. You said to the everything's all white.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about John.
Yeah.
Johnny boy.
Yeah.
No, that means I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah. I'll clip out the best pieces.
No, I meant or you want to react to Oliver too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because then I can I'll endure it with you.
Yeah.
Instead of just at my house, just where I just have to pause and then have a 20-minute conversation on my
yeah.
I'm a psychopath.
Yeah. I feel you.
Pacing in my apartment.
Oh man.
But if you thought of it this way.
Yeah. All right. Let's run away.
All right, peace out, juggalos.
Ebony and Ivory out.
George Washington was our first president. Some would say our best. I would say maybe our wisest. I'll prove that today. At the end of his second term, he wrote a letter to Congress as well as to the American people. 30-page, handwritten letter. He first announced that he was not going to serve or run for a third term. He didn't want to be, a dynasty or a monarchy. It was time for someone else to lead. But then he spent the rest of his letter talking about the importance of staying as one, being unified in this country. I mean, at that time, we were still very, very young, and you had all these different people and colonies, states, religions, different views on everything. And he wanted us to realize that unity, in the midst of all of that, has to take precedence. And then he gave the number one threat to unity of their country. And you won't believe what it was. And I used the phrase that he used. Political parties. I kid you not. Let me quote to you from his letter what he said about political parties. Quote, They agitate the community with ill-founded jealousies and false alarms. They kindle the animosity of one part against another. They foment occasionally riot and insurrection. And they open the door to foreign influence and corruption, which finds a facilitated access to the government itself through the channels of party passions.